Hi, this is Matt from Cheap ABS, and today I'm going to show you how to remove an ABS module from a 2005 or 2006 Audi A6. So we got the hood open on this car, and you can see that the module is located right here. It's kind of buried over here on the right side. This is the hydraulic pump with the brake lines going into it. And unfortunately, because of the way the module is seated in this car, there's no way to remove the module from the pump without taking the pump out of the car too. So to do this job, we're going to have to remove the entire unit as one piece and then separate the module from the pump. To do this, the first thing you want to do is remove the coolant reservoir out of the way. So that's just held on by a Phillips screw. And it's pressed in back here, so just gently pull this out of the way to give yourself some room to work. And the next step is going to be to remove the 6 hard brake lines from the ABS pump. And with this, for this, you'll need an 11mm wrench to remove the 4 nuts on top. And it's also a good idea to have some shop towels ready and to cover up the paint on the car with a rag or something, because the brake fluid will damage the paint if it's exposed to it. So just go ahead and remove these 4 nuts with the 11mm wrench. It's also going to be helpful to remove the power steering reservoir out of the way. So to do that, you will need a T30 Torx bit to remove the screw that's holding it in there. So just go ahead and remove this screw and slide the power steering reservoir out of the way. So we've removed these 4 smaller hard brake lines from the top. Now we've got to remove the 2 larger ones coming into the bottom. For this, we'll need a 13mm wrench. So just go ahead and remove these out of the way, and then we'll have all the brake lines disconnected and we'll be ready to detach the module from its harness. So now we've removed all 6 of the hard brake lines, and you can see there's some brake fluid leaking. You can just kind of mop that up with a shop towel. But to get the whole unit out, that we have to remove 2 retaining nuts down beneath. There are 2 10mm nuts down here. So just go ahead and take those out, and that should free the module. So now we'll remove the 2 10mm nuts down here at the bottom holding it on. So what we have to do now is remove the electrical connector over here to on the back, and it's got a little red securing tab. So just kind of slide that out of the way, and then you want to pull up on this the gray lock, and that should pull the harness up and off of the unit. And just make sure you don't lose the red tab. And now it's totally free, and you should be able to lift the whole unit out now. And there we go. So now the unit's out of the car. Yeah, be careful. These are where we remove the nuts from. I just dropped one down in there, so make sure that you're careful with these pieces, because you'll need them for reinstallation. But this is the unit. What you have to do to get the module, this black part, off of the pump is take a E-socket. I think it's either an E4 or E5 E-socket, which is basically an inverse Torx to remove these screws. You can pick up one of those on Amazon, or go down to Sears or Harbor Freight. You can buy a set of E-sockets to get the right one. And then just remove this from the pump, and this black part's what you need to send in to me for repair. Now the brake system's wide open right now, so you can't drive the car because you're not going to have any brakes. The hydraulic fluid is it's an open circuit. So if you need to operate the car, you're going to have to put the pump back in and bleed the brakes. And I'm going to show you in a few minutes just how to bleed the brakes when you're reinstalling this. Okay, so we've reinstalled the ABS unit with the repaired module already attached to it. It does use size E5 sockets, not E4, size E5. When you reinstall it, I would recommend putting the smaller brake lines on top on first rather than putting the two bigger ones on. It'll give you some more room. So go ahead and tighten everything down, hook the electrical harness back up to the module, and put the power steering reservoir back in place along with the coolant tank. And now you have to bleed the brakes because you've introduced air into the system and probably lost a lot of brake fluid in the process. So add some more brake fluid and top off your brake fluid reservoir. And to bleed the brakes, you'll need somebody to help you pump the brakes while you bleed the calipers. Specific sequence needs to be used starting from the wheel farthest away from the master cylinder. So you start with the right rear, then bleed the left rear, then the right front, then the left front. If you're just bleeding the ESP unit, it's opposite of that. You start with the left front and work backwards. So to bleed the brakes, go ahead and jack the car up, and it's good to just put the tire or wheel under it just as security. Never rely on the hydraulic jack. And the bleeding valve is right here. It's covered by a little rubber cap. Remove the cap and you'll need an 11mm socket to open the valve. So what you need to do is top off the reservoir and have somebody pump the brakes a few times, and then hold the brake pedal down. And while they're holding it, you want to crack the bleed valve open and let some fluid out, and some bubbles will come out too. And when you no longer see any bubbles, go ahead and close it, and then have your partner let off of the brake. So it needs to be pressurized as you're bleeding it. It's better to do this. The correct way to bleed the brakes, according to the factory manual, is to have a 28 psi applied to the reservoir. But if you don't have something to pressurize it, having somebody pump the brake pedal will work also. So just repeat this on all 4 wheels in sequence, and then verify that the brake pedal is firm like it was before, and then everything should be plug and play with the module. So just visit the website Cheap ABS. Once you've got the module off, it's cheapabs.com, and send the order form in, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.